Welcome in to the Thursday edition, the post-full moon, and we're going to turn the page in the Honeycomb Almanac and take a look at September and even into October today. Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. Glad you are here. As we mentioned yesterday, there are no aspects in the sky all the way through Sunday, so we're going to set up the weekend. I have the coolest chapter from Steve Forrest's Endless Sky. I'll tell you about it at the end. We're going to play that tomorrow. But I'm hoping today that we even get to the October 14th annular solar eclipse, because I think it's also worth bringing into our conversation now. So let's start with today. That would be 30 seconds of dead air. Tomorrow, the moon moves into Aries at 9:24 in the morning. Well, there's nothing there. I mean, we could talk about the moon's aspects, but there's nothing there today. I have some other things. The moon moves so quickly, but let's talk about it. So tomorrow, Aries, and then Sunday, Taurus at 11 a.m. Then the big deal of the weekend, Sunday night at 9:20 p.m., Venus goes direct. All these times today are Eastern, as they always are. Then there's about a 13-hour gap until Monday morning Eastern Time, 10:10 a.m., Jupiter goes retrograde. And interestingly, it is right in the 7th house, about 4 degrees off of the cusp to the 8th house. And you know, whenever we talk about the 7th house in the context of relationships, we always say the biggest, most important relationship in your world is the one with yourself. Jupiter stays in retrograde until the last day of 2023, so we have the whole rest of this year to be focusing on who we are with ourself. Different context than what we just experienced with Venus. Venus not only had that money component to it, but it also had that element of what's important to us, what's most valuable to us. Jupiter is more about who we are being. The moon is right next to Jupiter when it goes retrograde. This is about us examining our soul. And mostly it's about us slowing down enough and not reaching out enough that we are able to look within. Some will get it, many will not. Those who do will benefit. In fact, I'm going to make a note for next week. We'll do a retrograde sweep and just check in on these 6 planets that are in retrograde and do what we did there. We'll just talk about what are we supposed to be working on in our life, what's been showing up. We'll do a sweep of that on one of the days next week that doesn't have anything else going on. Now, I thought we might look at the eclipse, especially the one on October 14th. That's the solar eclipse. It is not a full solar. The one that will be total solar is on April 8th, 2024. A lot of swath of the United States is going to catch that. It's an amazing experience. And if you don't have plans for where you're going to be in that zone, if you love the sky, if you love astrology, if you love astronomy, I hope that you'll consider that. It is amazing. But the one in October on the 14th is not quite total, and here's how much it misses it. So we're talking about the sun and the moon. Basically, it's the structure of a new moon. They are together, and they are basically at the same declination, but not quite. There's a little crack there. So the sun will be at 8 degrees 14 minutes. The moon will be at 7 degrees 55 minutes, both of those south. So that's that wee little crack that lets too much light through. But as we put a chart up for it, it is going to all happen in the 10th house. So here's our career again. Are we not examining this? Look at the themes. Venus in retrograde. Uranus retrograde with the moon sitting right at the cusp of the 10th house. The full moon and Venus turning direct both have Pluto in the 10th house. Now this eclipse coming in October is in the 10th house. Don't you get a theme that there's going to be some changes around this area? Revisions, something. I don't know, but it certainly is what I'm scratching my head and just thinking out loud here. And interestingly, the paired eclipse, the lunar eclipse, is a partial, so it's less significant. It will be on the Taurus-Scorpio axis. And the moon will be in the equal house system 2nd house, and the sun will be up in the 8th house. I don't know where all of this is going, but I do know that when themes repeat in astrology that they are definitely worth considering seriously. And this whole theme of examining what's important to us, our money, now our career is coming into the light. And then I was thinking of all of this in the context of what I'm hearing people say, and I know you are too, about September. So many people. I haven't been on TikTok in a while. I am posting videos there, but I don't spend a lot of time on it. But I did the other day, and I saw so many videos about the rapture happening in September. I just paused and did a quick Google search, September 23rd. It shows up several times in current articles. So I'm wondering if in that context, if there isn't this shift that is ultimately going to affect our money, our careers, how we do that whole part of our lives may change. What if the consciousness changes and those are some of the primary areas reflected? It's almost like the chart is saying, get ready. The other thing I was wondering, how many of you are feeling or sensing that you should purge stuff? I've had that one come up this week too. Well, those are some of the things that lie ahead, and perhaps these two eclipses are going to be more significant and worth our taking note. So you might cue them up for your own chart. You can look up the dates in Time and Date. That's probably the best place to get them. All right. Tomorrow we're going to do some Steve Forrest. I have a wonderful selection pulled from the endless sky about Saturn and Mars, the two, quote-unquote, as he says, quote-unquote, malefics, going retrograde, stationing. So let's see what Steve has to say. I thought that was relevant. Although the article was written some time ago, there's a lot still practical, even right now. That'll be tomorrow. I'll see you back for Ray Merriman on Saturday. Have a great couple of days.